I promise you there's a way around it or over it. Maybe you're stubborn enough to get on your hands and knees and crawl over the situation, but you can get through it. One thing that I've realized from my almost 13 years of being in a wheelchair, there's a lot of people that tell me that I can't or I shouldn't do things, but I'm going to if I want to. And if I can't do it the way you can, I'm going to do it the way I can.
Hmm.
And you guys can do that. I want to tell you that from the bottom of my heart, we're here for you. You have a community, even if you're able bodied, there's people here for you. We're here to help you. We're here to show you the way. We're not going to coddle you. I'm not going to baby you. I'm going to watch you struggle and I'm going to help you through the struggle.
Welcome to the Nick Speaks podcast, where we speak up, speak out, and speak loud for the disabled community. Tune in every Tuesday, and don't forget to subscribe. And now your host, Nicholas Comstock.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Nick Speaks podcast, the podcast dedicated to the disabled community where we speak up, speak out, and speak loud about the issues that matter to the disabled the most. I'm your host, Nick Comstock. You guys, thank you so much for joining me today on this Tuesday. I'm so glad that you're here with me. And you guys, I've been doing Nick Speaks. This is our second year. And I got to tell you, last week when I did our free call with today's guest, I got to tell you, it was the most awesome free call that I have ever done by far of doing Nick Speaks. Today, we have a wheelchair heavyweight boxing champion. Not only is he a champion, he's the freaking CEO of WABC. Can you believe that? I mean, this is freaking awesome. So you guys, help me welcome Jody Bennett to Nick Speaks. Jody, how you doing, man?
And I'm doing great. It's a great day. It's nice. It's a little chilly out today here in Las Vegas, very windy. So I'm trying to hide in the house as much as possible, but I'm doing great today. How are you, bud?
I'm doing awesome, bud. And usually, and I'm sure you understand this as a wheelchair user, maybe it's not a thing we can talk about. I usually when people meet me for the first time and they call me bud, I'm like, what the hell? Like, you don't even know me that well and you're calling me bud. Because I feel like it's a downgrade, you know what I mean?
Hey.
But you and our pre-call last Friday when we did the pre-call, or last Thursday, whenever we did it, my days are all mixed up. But our pre-call, first of all, it went really, really long, and you and I struggled to get off the call because we were having so much fun.
It was a ball, that's for sure.
And so I mean, you can call me bud because we're officially buds now.
Buddies, man.
We have each other's phone numbers, which I don't do to all my podcast guests unless we really hit it off and we know we're going to collaborate in the future, um, which you and I are.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm so excited that you're here today. Um, folks, I say all the time on this podcast, and I said it a couple weeks ago when I interviewed Daniel Flores from the Wheelchair Roundtable podcast, which shout out to you guys because that's how Jody and I got connected. So if you're not listening to the Wheelchair Roundtable podcast, go listen to it. Rico Segovia and Daniel Flores have been on this podcast within the last couple weeks. And so go listen to that as well as this one. Give us both 5-star ratings. We would both appreciate it. I know that.
Yeah, I love those guys over there. My wife, she gets a little frustrated when I get on with you guys because, like I said, like I was telling you before, is I am lazy at heart. If I can,
Yeah,
I will do as little as possible. But because of my wife, she keeps me pretty busy. She's like both of us make one brain. She's the one that keeps me on track with everything. So when I get
sure.
Rico and the guys and you, man, I was supposed to be for an hour and a half, and it'll end up being 2 or 3 hours later, and we're still shooting the shit.
I know it's ridiculous. We're gonna try not to make this a Joe Rogan experience copycat, but I'm telling you, if it goes over 2 hours, at least those of you who are driving, which I know a lot of you do, you tell me you drive and you listen to it on your way to work. So if a lot of you do, especially those of you who live in Columbus, we have a buttload of traffic here. So at least you have something to listen to. So,
Oh, and if you wanna get Joe Rogan with it, I'm all about the conspircy theories, all right?
oh,
All
good
about it.
Lord. Well, I'm not trying to get bananaed on YouTube, but we may get into some conspiracy theories today. I don't know. Um, so Jody, I want you because you guys, I've said this before on the podcast, and I think I started saying this and then we got sidetracked, which is going to happen between the both of us a lot today. Um,
Or
I've said this before on the podcast and on my TikToks, guys. It takes seconds to become a part of the disabled community, not days, not hours, seconds. And that's why I was bringing this up, because I said the same thing with when I did Daniel's introduction, and you have that same story, Jody, where you were in a motorcycle accident. And I want you, before we dig into everything that you do with WABC and what WABC is and what your role is there, I want you to tell folks a little bit about you, and then I'll get into some questions and we'll talk about the day your accident and all that stuff. So take off, my brother.
so, all right, so let's start back from the beginning of me being in the disabled community. Back in 2013, July 18th, 2013, I was on my way to work. I worked for the government at a top secret facility, and I was on my motorcycle. It was right around 5 a.m. I was riding my bike there, and an antelope jumped out in front of me. I T-boned the antelope. My tire pinned, sucked underneath the bike, kind of pinned. I rode the bike to the shoulder. Once I got to the shoulder, the soft ground, my front end dug into the soft ground. Me and the bike endoed together. And what they're thinking is that on the first rotation, the sissy bar smacked me in my spine and broke my spine. I'm paralyzed from my chest down. So they're thinking the sissy bar
Mm.
fine. And then on the second rotation, the bike threw me 15 feet. I landed with my face down in the dirt. I'm very lucky. I'm very thankful, okay, and I'm very lucky because on my way to work every morning, I always pass the bus with every that's bussing everybody out to the site, and I pass the EMTs, I pass the boss, I pass everybody on my way out to the site. So luckily, the EMTs saw everything that happened. They saw it
Oh,
all. They were
oh.
right. They were probably 5 minutes behind me, if that, and they were able to get to me instantly. So I remember hitting seeing the antelope on my right side as I'm riding, and thinking this thing's gonna run at me. I was positive that that thing was gonna run at me, and then I was kinda paying attention to it, looking over, and then when I noticed that there's no way that I passed it, that I'm safe, I looked back at the highway, and the moment I looked back at the highway, started to open my throttle. The one that I didn't see that was on the left jumped out in front of me, and I T-boned the one that was on the left side that I didn't know was there. So, hit hit the antelope, flip, land in the dirt. I
And
don't
you twice, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So me and the bike rotated once together, and then on the second rotation, the bike threw me. So I land in the dirt on my face. I don't I'm blacked out at that point. I remember when the EMTs got there, them rolling me onto my back, and then the lights came on for me. I remember looking at I could see the EMT, I could see my boss, I can see a couple of other guys that I worked with there, and I could see the mountains, and I could see the sun was starting to come up, and I could see the gold. The mountaintops looked like golden with like purple hue and gold, and I remember thinking how
Yeah.
cool that was. And then,
Yeah. Absolutely beautiful.
yeah, and then I remember a bright light, really, really bright light from the sky, and I saw 3 angels come down. One of them landed on at my shoulder, and the other 2
Wow.
yeah, the other 2 landed, kind of at at my hip and then one at my feet, and I remember looking at the angel and I remember asking and I'm like, "Hey, I know that I hit hard, how come I don't feel any pain?" And the angel said, "'Cause this is God's gift. God's gift don't hurt." I was like, "Alright," and then I blacked out. So, I woke up in the hospital there in Tonopah, Nevada, and I remember
Uh-huh.
doctor his name was Doctor Scotia. He's been my doctor since I was born. Doctor Scotia was there, and I just remember him looking, like, sad and kind of, like, worried and sad, and then I blacked out, and then I remember being in the ambulance and, seeing the hospital through the ambulance because they had to take me to the airport to flight for life me out. So I blacked out. I
Gosh.
remember seeing the hospital from the back of the ambulance, and then I remember being in the airplane. I can't move, and my nose is itching like crazy. And like I'm trying to like get my nose to stop itching, and then I look over and I see the white something white on my face, and it get pulled away. And I saw an angel tucking his wing in. And he said, "Sorry about that. It's kind of cramped in here. We don't normally fly like this." I'm like, all right." Passed back out. They had me in a coma for 3 days, and then my first surgery, they to decompress my spine, I remember sitting up in surgery, I could see the doctors' heads and everything, and I just saw angels everywhere. And, I remember they were singing, and my boss's mom, who I've never seen a picture of, uh, nothing. She was passed away long before I was ever born, and, I remember she came up to me and she told me to give a message to her son that she loves him and that I'm gonna be okay and not to worry about it. And then I remember talking to my dead grandma, and my dead grandma said that God said no, that I'm not allowed to go home yet. Because when I hit that antelope, I was like, "Take me home. I'm ready, baby. Come on, Jesus, coming for me. I'm going
Yeah.
home." And then my grandma came to me and said, "God said no, that I'm not allowed to go home. I got too much to do." And then I woke up. I woke up in the hospital. And I tell you, you know, when the doctor gave me the news that I'll never walk again, I said, "Nah, give me 6 months. I'll be walking through here. I tell you what." That was 13 years ago. And I'm not gonna lie, like when I the first I want to say 3 years was hard. It was hard because I did adjusting to my body, learning to walk again,
Sure.
learning to not walk, but learning to move without walking. And then angry. I was angry at God. I was angry at myself. I was angry at those fucking antelope.
Yeah.
I was angry at everything.
Sure.
And
So let me back up a minute because you dropped some stuff that you did not share with me in the pre-call, and I love that. Maybe you did, and I just
no, I didn't share what happened to me in the pre-call.
so maybe you dropped a little nugget here and there, and I just missed it. But so you said you saw angels. Did you see them immediately on impact?
No, not on impact. So the angels, I didn't see the angels till after they put me back on my back, and then I saw, like I said, I remember looking over it and I seen the mountains, the sun starting to light up the tops of the mountains as it's coming over, as it's rising. And then I saw a bright light. I felt nothing but happiness, comfort, and joy. Like I saw the light in the sky, and I watched the angels coming down from the sky. And I tell you, these angels, they didn't wear robes. I mean, kind of did, but I was focused most. They had armor. You know what I mean? Like they weren't all robed and stuff. They were more. They had armor on, like protection. You know what I mean? So that's something that I've always found, they weren't like full clad body armor, but it was like a mixture of like chest plate. I remember one of them had a gold and silver chest plate armor with robes underneath it. That was the one that was on my side because I kept looking at it. And when people say that angels are beautiful, like there are some gorgeous people on this planet. Some people that you look at and you're just like, holy wow. An angel is like when I saw it, it was like I was a child again. You know what I mean? it was more than just beauty, it was, like, wonder, if that
That's
makes
amazing.
Yeah, it was like that child wonder where you see magic in everything. I don't know if you remember what that's like as a child when you see something that's just magical and you're like, and you're in
Oh,
awe.
yeah.
Like that's what it was like for me when I was laying there, and I was, all right.
So when you were talking to the angels and asking them questions, did the EMTs were they like, dude, you're talking out of your head?
No, the EMTs said the only things that I was saying was I was screaming in pain and I was asking where my bike was. My mom even said that the only thing that I would ask, or the only thing that I would say aside from being in pain was, "Where's my bike? Is my bike okay?" That's that biker through and through, man.
So this conversation that you were having is really outside of your body.
Absolutely.
Oh my god. Okay. This is so oh my god. This is amazing. So I have to ask you because you said your boss's mother,
Yeah,
who had passed on, came to you and said, "Hey, tell my son I love him and it's not time for you to go yet."
yeah.
So when you went back to your boss and said, "Hey, I
So
I saw your mom who passed on, or I talked to her," what did your boss say?
the thing with that was, like, when that came out, I was they had the trach in still, I couldn't talk.
Right,
Um But I was still kind of comatose. I was in and out. Like, I don't remember any of this, but they said that I was awake. I had the thing in my throat. I was awake and I was writing as soon as my boss came in, I started writing like crazy, bouffant hair, bouffant hair. She says she loves you and I'm gonna be okay. But she's beautiful with bouffant hair, Jerry's mom. That's what they said that I wrote on a piece of paper. And I don't remember any of this, I was still under sedation, like, heavily sedated.
dude, my mouth is on the floor right now, figuratively speaking.
Yeah.
So you're giving this message to your boss, and what does your boss do? Does he like faint right there in the emergency room, or
Well, and that's the thing, like, I'm not exactly sure, again, because like, I was still very heavily sedated, so I don't remember anything, but I get my mom told me later that he started crying and, you know, he had to leave the room because he started crying, which, I mean, I don't blame him, like, that's some
right,
stuff.
right?
So, like I said, a lot of that was, um, while I was under I wasn't I was still under sedation, so I couldn't talk. I don't remember him coming in. I don't remember him talking to me that day. I don't remember, what his reaction was. I do remember seeing her, and I do remember, like, I kind of remember writing down bouffant hair, kind of, but it was just it was hard. I wasn't exactly in control at that point, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. So I didn't catch it, and maybe our listeners did, but maybe I know I didn't. What did you say you did before this accident?
So I used to work for the government. I was a independent contractor. I used to work for the Air Force out at Tonopah Test Range. I think I think that's as much as I'm able to say. Was I was an independent contractor for the Air Force out at Tonopah Test Range.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now, did you have a military background before?
So, funny story. No, I did not have a military background. But I was trying to join when I got my accident. I had a clearance. I had some good recommendations. I scored really high on the ASVAB, and I wanted to join the army. Uh, but again, God threw an antelope at me and said, "You're not doing that." So
Yeah.
Things happen.
And you're out west, you're in Vegas. So for those of you who are like, where is an antelope at? That's where he's out west. So that's
Bro,
where
in the mountains, it's in the mountains of Nevada, all right? Okay, there's a lot of weird shit in the mountains of Nevada. Antelope apparently are some of them, which, like, I know and here's the thing, if you drive a lot, deer and antelope are assholes. They see lights and they don't
right,
it's them or you, and usually they'll get up and walk away from it, which is unfortunate because it'll destroy you or your stuff. So, one of the things out here in Nevada is that a lot of people don't talk about that your listeners I really want your listeners to know that Arizona, Nevada, New Mexico, um, kind of Utah also, when you guys are out here riding or driving at night, be careful because these animals, they don't care. They don't know that you're driving a 3,000-pound vehicle or a 300-pound motorcycle, and
right,
it'll you'll if you're on a bike, I'm lucky I didn't die. My gra
right.
my
You
dad yeah, dude, my dad's an EMT. He was an EMT up there, and he would like, you you would be surprised the amount of bodies he's had to pull off the road of motorcycles who got hit by antelope or deer.
wow, that's insane. Wow, this story that you just shared with our listeners and viewers is just having me like, oh my goodness, because you definitely said something at the beginning of this show that's already happened, which your experience is not a conspiracy theory, but it is a near death experience. And so we did get into that today.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
uh, wow, that's amazing. So
That
you
might be a little bit heavy to start a podcast off with, and I'm sorry about that.
No, no, you're good. Hey, listen, it's Tuesday at 7 a.m. in the morning. So some people may just be groggy, getting out of bed, drinking coffee. So this may just be the right thing to wake them up in the morning, and especially if they're in the West, like you talked about. So they'll be eyes on the road for their antelope and for their deer. Um, so let's go forward. So you had the accident. You said you were angry at God. You said you were angry at the damn antelope who hit you,
Oh,
which
no, all of them, I still have a deep-seated hatred for antelope. Like,
oh yeah.
we we were traveling up north a couple of weeks ago, and, my buddy was driving, and I saw it, I was like, "Is that a deer, bro? Slow down." And, like, as we get closer, I saw that it was an antelope, I'm like, "Fuck that thing, speed up, kill it."
Yes.
And my
Yes.
buddy looked at me, he's like, "Bro, you need to calm down a little bit." I'm like, "Fuck those antelope, dude."
Yeah. Yeah. I don't blame you. So you said you were mad at God, which is, something I certainly don't blame you for, and I don't think any of our listeners or viewers would blame you for.
Can I,
Honest,
can I, uh, can I dive into that one a little bit? Because I say that I was mad, but I wasn't really so much mad at God. I was mad that he charged me with this.
right. Well, I want to say too, before you dive into that, you know, when we get so many people act like you can't get mad at the Almighty. He understands, that's why he's God, because he's omnipotent. He knows things that we don't know, but he knows that we don't know those things. So he understands that we're going to get mad. Absolutely. Go ahead and dive into it.
Well, and like I told you before, I am super lazy at heart. So, being in a wheelchair is everything I do is 10 times harder than I did when I was able-bodied. So I don't get to be lazy. I want to. And again, it's probably what I needed, but I was like, I always wanted God to have me do something special. We all want to have a calling. And when we're young, we all believe that we're destined for greatness. And I always wanted to do something great for God and my whole life. And then when this happened, I was mad that if I do something great, I have to be paralyzed to do it. Like, what? That sucks. That's unfair. Nothing in life is fair, and I get it, but it was unfair and it sucked, and I was pissed about it. As I got older, I started to realize that maybe that I had to be sitting for this. I had to be sitting down so that way I could stand for people. Does that make sense?
Oh my god, that's an viral clip. That is. Can you say that again?
I said that, it took as I got older, I realized that I had to be sitting down so that way I could stand for people.
Wow, Jesus. Okay, you may have just made this 36-year-old wheelchair user who's been a wheelchair user his whole life accept his lot in life in a 1-minute statement because we talked in our pre-call and, I talked to you. I'm around people that are like, there are some that are like, I would rather, I wouldn't have, I would have my disability all over again. I wouldn't change. And I was telling you that I'm not like that. I haven't gotten to that point. But now that you said what you just did, you had to be sitting down in order to stand up for people.
Yeah.
That just okay. From here on out, I need a box of tissues in here because wow, dear Lord. Okay, that just put my whole everything I do here at Nick Speaks and when I do personal advocacy for myself, like this is. I mean, yes, it's irritating that you can't stand up physically. Yes, it's irritating that we can't do these things on our own. But when we stand up mentally with our voices and when we say, "Hey, this needs to be fixed," sometimes it takes those of us who go through incredibly shitty stuff to make the world understand this is why it sucks and this is why it needs to change.
Absolutely. Would they listen to us if we didn't go through it?
Absolutely not.
Exactly. And that's when that's what the realization I came to. I gotta be sitting to do it. I have to. And that's okay. And you know what? That I think when a lot of our community realized that not only does it give us guidance, it gives us clarity, a little bit of comfort, but it also gives us charge. And that's something that we need. I feel like I am charged to do something for God. And again, maybe it's not me personally, but maybe it's talking to you. Maybe it's talking to the next generation. They see what I'm trying to do here now, and the next generation, we get an amazing, great human being coming from them that's going to change the world. And my little conversation with them inspired that. Maybe that's what I'm charged to do, and again,
Yeah.
I have to be sitting to make sure that that happens. God needs me sitting so it happens.
Right. And I mean, and this could go with any and and I this could go with any disease, cancer, anything that happens. Wow. I mean, to even think about it and put it in the way of maybe there's people in the hospital that are listening to this right now and they wish they could get out of there and they don't understand why they're there and maybe they're born again Christians like you and I, but they still don't maybe they have to be in that hospital in order to make a big influence, in order to do something great for God. That's
Absolutely.
oh my okay. I don't need to go to church this Sunday. We're good. I'm good. Pastor, I'll see you in about a month. I've had I've had all the sermons I need for this month. I'm good. Uh wow. Okay. So what are some of the things that you did, like just everyday things? What are some of the things that you did as an able bodied person that when you became paralyzed and you tried to do them for the first time, or you were just like, oh shit? I didn't realize I can't do this anymore, or it just re-hit you. It just reminded you of your disability. How did you handle that?
Oh, so I got the actual perfect story, the perfect example. So about 4 months out of the hospital, it was wintertime, so I didn't really leave the house much. Uh, but starting that spring and summer when it started to warm up, back in Tonopah, at the Tonopah Speedway, they do dirt track racing, and I love going to watch the dirt track racing. The community out there, hanging out with everybody. Well, I took my wheelchair out there, parked in the little handicapped dirt spot, pushed up the hill. What what really made it hard, outside of the hospital outside of the hospital, what really made it hard was when I was going back to my truck, um, I was kinda trying to do a wheelie down the dirt hill because my casters, well, my front end dropped down and my casters sunk into the dirt, and then I slid out of my chair. Luckily, one of my childhood friends was there, Michael Johnson. He was there, and he saw it, and he helped me get back in my chair. Man, fucking picked me my fucking almost 300 pound, actually, I was like 340 pounds, picked my 300-pound ass up and put me back in my chair. I would've been fucked if he wasn't there. But that's one of the times that it hit me, and the time that it really, really, really that I broke down crying because I realized my life was different forever was the first time I had to poop by myself in the hospital, where I had to do the dill process and then the stim and all that. The first time I had to do that myself, I cried like a bitch. I felt like I wasn't a man. I felt like
Ow.
my life was over, everything.
Now, for those of you who may have saw me, who may have saw me chuckle on camera when you said "cried like a bitch," I was not laughing at Jody's experience. I was laughing at the way he said, "I cried like a bitch." I mean, it's
Right, but I did. Oh my god,
the way you
it
said
was bad.
it. So,
It was funny too because the nurse opened the door to check on me, and I'm sitting there with my finger in my ass, and she comes in, "Are you okay?" And then shut the door and walked out. I was like, "Fuck."
hey, so how, if you're paralyzed, explain this to me. If you're paralyzed, how were you able to stand up and do that?
No, so there's a chair. So they put me in a chair, a commode chair with the cutout and everything, and then, like, I had to grab on one side and then lean over, reach, and it's a whole process. Anybody who's paralyzed knows the process. And it wasn't fun, and nobody would help me. But to be fair, I would fuck with the nurses a lot, so I could understand why.
In the literal sense.
I would, dude. I messed with them one time. Uh, one of the nurses, really, really gorgeous nurse. I was like, when are you gonna give me a sponge bath? And she's like, when the doctor orders it, your arms work. You don't need me to give you a sponge bath. I'm like, all right. So I talked to the doctor, and that night I got a sponge bath from her, and she was mad as hell. I was like, what? I'm in love with you. I needed this. And she's like, motherfucker. She's like, all right, I'm gonna get you back. I'm like, huh? Okay, just get under the nuts, please. Yeah, I was bad, but all the nurses were amazing. But
Oh my
I was
gosh.
hellion, dude. I was so bad. I was such a hellion in the hospital. And that's another thing, I I wanna advocate to anybody who's going through that, don't don't take it as a joke. Learn as much as you can. One of the things that was rough on me was I took it like a joke. I didn't take it seriously. I thought I was gonna be walking in a few months, that this was temporary, and everything that I should have learned there, I had to teach myself outside of there. And trial and error when you don't have guidance is so much harder than paying attention to them.
Yeah. Yeah. So learn what you can to do on your own.
Yeah, so you don't have to do it the hard way later.
Wow. So were you dating or married before your accident?
I was dating a girl, but we broke up right after my accident because, she would just take my pain pills and wanted to sleep with around, so and I like, it
Oh,
plus
wow.
she didn't sign up to be a caregiver, and I needed a caregiver at the time, you know what I mean? That's something when it comes to relationships and being in a wheelchair is you gotta draw a line, a very hard line in the sand from caregiver to lover, and you cannot cross that line or you're gonna lose your lover.
Yeah, because the reason why I asked you that question, man, is because I've said it many times on this podcast that um, I heard a statistic one time in a church service that over 90% of parents who end up having special needs children end up divorcing because one of them can't handle it. And usually, with the statistic that I heard, it was the man who ended up leaving and would leave the mom to handle things.
Mm.
And so I wanted to ask you that because so she ended up breaking up with you because she couldn't handle it.
No, I broke up with her because
Broke up with her.
yeah, she was kinda running around on me and she would take my pain meds, and she would get really high off of my pain meds and abuse my drugs and shit, so I ended up breaking up with her, when I looked in her phone and she was telling her ex how much she loved him. I was like, "Alright, you need to get out of my house."
Wow, we got into wow, we've turned this into a death experience podcast. We've turned this into a Jerry Springer slash crackhead podcast.
Yeah.
Not that you were on crack. I just use that as a
Listen,
uh,
if I was on crack, I'd be talking a lot more, okay?
yeah, okay, all right. So I mean, wow, this podcast is becoming becoming very great. I hope this is the highest rated podcast of the year. Um, so you're having to learn all this stuff. So when did you realize, oh wait, shit, I can't go back to work either?
When I tried to go back to work, I tried so with what my job was extremely dangerous, and when I tried to go back to work, they said I asked them, I was like, "Well, can I get one of the office jobs just doing secretary stuff or something?" And me being on site is too much of a liability, and because of my needs, like, at that time, I didn't know, like, I couldn't tell if I needed to poop or anything, so I could shit myself and I which, everybody was understanding of, like, they had facilities, we had showers and everything out there, so if I did have an accident, I could shower and clean myself up really quick. So that wasn't an issue. It was more of me being in the chair and an emergency happens, I'm a liability. And I get it.
Yeah, because they're trying to get you out of there, and if yeah, I would totally understand that too. With what you said, you worked with the Air Force and all that stuff, so totally understand that. But wow, I'm just so from there, you knew you couldn't go back to work. You
Yeah.
tried, or at least talked about it. So did you say, "Oh, now I'm really screwed"?
Well, so once I realized that I couldn't go back to work, I was still living in Tonopah and they were shutting the hospital down. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go to Vegas to where there is a hospital, more opportunity for me to live a life. There's nothing in Tonopah. So I moved down to Vegas, which is only 180 miles away. And started living
What's
here.
what's the name you're saying again of the place you were?
Tonopah, 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 Nevada.
Okay, so you were in a small town.
3,000 people. Yeah,
How many?
3,000.
Oh yeah, you were. I bet you they knew about your pill popping girlfriend too.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody knows everything. So I ended up coming back down here and I worked for I wanted to lose weight. I talked to some friends of mine, and in a year, I went from 340 pounds to 207. I started training, working out every single day. I trained multiple hours a day. Got a job at the gym at 24 Hour Fitness, where I was there like 4 hours a day, just kind of doing sales and stuff. And trained, got lost a bunch of weight, got very fit. Then working that was right before 24 Hour Fitness, over here went bankrupt and they lost everything, so I ended up losing my job because they were cutting everything back, and It was hard. Working was very difficult. Luckily, I went to that gym every day, so everybody that the managers, everybody knew me. They understood like my disability that I need to get off my butt. I need to go to the bathroom. I can't like if I'm in the middle of a sales pitch and I got to go to the bathroom, if I don't go, I'm gonna have an accident, you know. They were really cool because I was working out there for years ahead of getting a job. So they were really cool with it. And then from there I was still training, trying to get into acting, doing some modeling, did a lot of on-stage work. Uh,
This is after your accident, right? You did the
yeah, this,
model.
this is all after my accident.
Okay.
Um, did a lot of on-stage work after my accident. Worked out, got fit, and then I want to say about 2020, I took some time off from training and everything. Went through some weird life events on top of COVID. Just weird things were going on, and then moving up to last year, or the year before last, I got a phone call from a friend of mine asking me if I wanted to try boxing, and I was like, "Yeah, I love boxing, dude. I've been a fighter my entire life. Boxing was a passion of mine before I was in the accident, ever since I was a kid." Um, and then I was supposed to go to Portugal for a fight. That didn't end up happening. And then the founder of the WABC, World Adaptive Boxing Council, calls me up. I want to say May of 25, and he says, "Jody, how would you like to come to England and fight for the world heavyweight title?" I said, "I absolutely would love that." Like,
Yeah.
all right, he's like, "All right, your August 30th is your fight. Get ready for it." And I said, "Okay." So I spent the rest of the year training for that. Took my wife and my coaching staff to there. And if any of your listeners or anybody that are also people who supported my GoFundMe for that, thank you guys so very much. Um, Raised money so I can go to that. Went and fought, won the heavyweight title, brought it back to the U.S., and then was talking to the founder. The founder, he's got dementia and he's going blind, and he was looking for somebody to take over uh, adaptive boxing, and he found it in me because he saw my passion for it. And then we just got off the meeting with the USA Amateur Boxing, so we may do partnership with them. There's a lot, dude. There's a lot, and then in this year November, I don't have a steady date yet, but this November we're gonna throw on a big show in Detroit where I'm gonna defend my title, and there's gonna be a lot of other fighters going to that one too. So if you are interested in boxing, reach out to me. Go to
Yeah.
wabc.com or reach out to Nick, let him know that you're interested and we'll get you set up. You know, get you out for tryouts and everything because we're looking for fighters also and sponsors. If you want to sponsor us, please, please, we need sponsors.
Wow. Which we talked about the whole we talked about the thing that's going to happen in Detroit. And yes, I will be there. I was invited, and by God, I'm going to try my best to make it there. I should be able to make it there. And because number one, it would be awesome for me to go on a trip to Michigan. Don't get mad at me, Ohio, but I'm not an Ohio State fan anyway. I'm not a sports fan in general, so I'm looking forward to going to Detroit if we can make it happen and seeing you fight. Okay, Jody, show off. Now, this is the belt that you won in England, right?
Absolutely.
So show that off. Look at that. Oh, nice. I love it. I love it. So you won in England, right? Because
Yeah,
you're the guy when Rico Segovia from the Wheelchair Roundtable reached out to me, he said you have a big following in the UK. So I hope that when you share this podcast on your socials and stuff, that a lot of my audience will increase from the UK. I've already had someone from the UK on my show. So
absolutely.
but yeah, I dude, I'll talk to my producer once you get it figured out. Maybe we can come film you in Detroit or something.
Awesome, yeah.
I would love that. Now, you said if anybody wants to be involved in adaptive boxing, let's talk about that because my hands, this one is curled. This one is my strong one, my right one right here.
Uh-huh.
And so I don't know. My muscles are hypotonic. Do you know what that means?
Yes, so they tighten really you have a hard time stretching them out. They retract more than anything.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So I'm wondering because I've not really been a sports guy, but now I'm kind of wanting to. I don't know.
Absolutely. So here's the thing. So for somebody in your situation, we have the founder has been working with my boxing coaches and my team along with um uh Terry, my vice president. He's also in the boxing spaces where Terry Cantley, he's a former Paralympian. Um we've been working very heavily on a 7 league structure. Okay. So somebody for you, you have multiple options. You have the VR option or it I don't want this to sound rough, okay?
Okay.
I I'm gonna say this, if it sounds rough, I do apologize.
No, go
So
ahead.
okay? So here's the thing. Your body has limitations, we understand that.
Right.
Your body limitations will change as you change your body. So the more you work, the harder you work on a goal. If your goal is boxing, you work towards that. You stretch out, you straighten out. Yes, you're still going to run into limitations, but you're going to start to notice that your limitations are changing now. Now, what we would do is, especially for you, is we would evaluate what you're doing right now with videos, what you're capable of, how you're capable of moving, throwing punches, things like that. Then after 6 months of training, we would do another evaluation, okay? Now, once we did your, second evaluation, where you started to where you are at now, where you're at now is how we would match you. We would match you with somebody in the beginning and see if they were a good fit, and then in 6 months, we would see if you guys were still matched. If you guys are still matched and you guys wanna get in the ring, we have safety equipment that is specially designed that has been designed for disabled athletes to minimize as much damage as possible because the way we do it is for we have 2 categories. We have the category that I fight in, which is the more of a it's not everything is not it's all semi-professional, but we are more I'm in more the elite category because I'm out there to knock out. I'm out there to try to knock heads off. The fight people that fight me, they're out there to try to knock heads off. However, we also have a category that's just points based. Okay? Like, for you guys, depending on your level of ability, you would be point
Sure.
based. You know, if you there'd be things like if you got hit too hard, they might shave a point off the other guy because you guys aren't there to knock heads off. You guys are there for for the martial art of it. You know what I mean? The sport and for the art of boxing, not for the brutality of it. Whereas me, I'm in it for the brutality.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. Not too rough at all. I totally. So wait a minute. So since you've been paralyzed and you've been doing the boxing, have you been hit like in the groin?
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, Jesus.
training training the other day, fuck it, yeah, my buddy. Well, and it was a total accident. So he threw, but he overthrew his ability and then fell. And then as he fell, he tagged me in the nuts. And I was like, oh shit, yeah. But so I don't only do boxing. I do wheelchair football, wheelchair basketball. I don't do wheelchair basketball anymore. I don't like the politics of it. But I do wheelchair football. I play for the Raiders. That's a nationwide league right now.
Okay. I take back what I said. I don't know if I want to. I don't. Since you said you got hit in the nuts, I'm a wimp when it comes to pain. Okay.
Well,
Uh,
there's padding. So for you, we would have a chest pad on you along with a lap pad. So that way, when you did get hit, it's the pad that's taking all the brunt and all the force, and the other person gets the point. When you hit the other person, you're not hurting them, but you're getting the point. You know what I mean?
right. Yeah. 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 Well, see, I think because for me, as a wheelchair user, and I don't know because of your body strength, if you're able to punch the crap out of somebody, which I'm not advocating violence, but one of the things that I struggle with as someone who's a wheelchair user, like if I were to get mad at one of my brothers or something, like because of the strength that I don't have, I'm over here like, oh, I really just wish I could punch somebody or
Want
even not
my
really somebody, but a wall.
you want
You
my advice? A paintball gun. Paintball gun, satisfying, you don't have to hit nobody, and they get the point.
oh, you know what? You might get me into paintball, but I don't know. I'm such a like you said, Jody, you're lazy at heart, and one of my things is I'm a freaking I can't say the word on the show, but I'm a freaking wimp. Okay, I'll say the mild word. Okay, but I think you know the word I was thinking.
I hear
Uh,
you.
Um, I'm a wimp when it comes to paint, but I just so I need something. How were you able to deal? Because you probably can you throw a punch?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
So that's and that's part of this art of it too. So I had to learn how to instead of getting my hips involved because I can't, I had to learn how to throw a punch. And if you think about centrifugal force, the way it works is if I'm throwing the punch, the wheelchair is going the opposite direction and I'm losing all my force. So I had to learn how to time that properly so that way I don't lose force. And so when I hit, they know that I hit them. And I had to learn how to use my body below my level of injury and manipulate that so that way I don't get hit and I don't lose all the strength out of my punches. So when I say boxing is more than just brutality, the art of it is phenomenally difficult, more difficult than it was when I was able body, but that's also part of the fun of it is trying to work that out and figure those things out. You know what I mean?
right, right. Well, the reason why I said I think I would be in it for the brutality of it is because I have so much pent up anger, and like I can't get in a car and just drive away by myself. So and as a person with a disability, you're dealing with stupid people all the time.
All the time.
Stupid people from insurance who have no idea what the hell they're doing. Stupid stupid people from the state who fund our
Everywhere.
services who don't know what they're doing. And what's funny is I was talking to somebody who listens to my podcast, you know who you are, and they had said something that I had said something in my last episode about how, if I have this waiver funding available, I should be able to use it. Well, they called me and they're like, Nick, I hear what you said, but you technically can't do a lot of the stuff that you're talking about because it's illegal, or they said something about it being illegal-ish, and you'd have to change the law and all this type of stuff, and you don't know a lot about the waiver funding, and I don't he said it's because he hadn't taught it to me or whatever. And so but here's the thing, a lot of these people that know the waiver funding half the time don't know what the hell they're doing either because they have to go ask 10 different people and they get 10 different answers.
Well, and he said a very vital thing. Okay. He said illegal-ish.
Yes.
Okay, illegal-ish is not illegal.
Well, he said you would have to change the law and some of it would be illegally if it wasn't the law wasn't changed or whatever.
But
Well,
what you're saying is there's a chance.
yeah. So, but I'm like, but so that's the point. Why can't we change the laws then? But anyway, um,
It's just a pain in the ass and most people don't wanna deal with it, and I get it.
yes, it is. It is. And by the way, the person I'm talking about, I'm not gonna say his name, but he's my case manager for all of my services. He's great, listens to my podcast every single week and texts me notes. In fact, he I told him that you were coming on today and he was really excited to hear your story. So hopefully my case manager enjoys today's podcast. But um, and that's another thing I want to talk to you about too, is because I told you a couple weeks ago, and I told everybody that I was testifying through part of the Ohio legislature about disability housing. And I felt like I said last week in my monologue, I felt like I'm being pushed into politics, but I don't really want to be pushed into politics. And we talked about that a little bit because you were like, well, if there was an opportunity for me,
Absolutely.
and you said I would do it. I want to talk about that with you because I told you on the pre call, Jody, that you really changed my mind about whether or not I'm gonna run for politics, and now I really have an unction to do so. And so let's
Well,
talk about that a little bit.
well, and here's my point of view. Okay, first off, our politicians are all full of shit. I'm
Yeah,
really full of shit, so I'll fit in. Um, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But my point is like this. So I've seen I've seen my congressman, my governor, my representatives from my state. We have some Democrat, some Republican. Um, I see what they're I try to pay attention as much as I can, and I see what they're doing. And one of my biggest complaints about the Republican Party is they never get shit done. One of my
no,
biggest complaints about the Democratic Party is they never get shit done. And maybe somewhere along the line they get in and they stop wanting to get shit done, or they realize that they can't, and that needs to change. I want to become a congressman. I want to go to Congress because when back, dude, back before, and I'm going to say this like I said to you in the pre-call, back before we had all attorneys and lawyers as our representatives, dude, they used to fight in the House of Congress. Okay, Benjamin Franklin threw hands, Thomas Jefferson threw hands because they
yeah,
were arguing their point. Okay, what happened to that? What happened to, like, the filibuster? People used to fight over the filibuster. Like, they would be like, "If you don't stop talking, I'm gonna knock you the fuck out. We need to get on with this." Like, that was back when America was rough. And I get it, times change. You can't do that, blah, 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 blah. But we need that passion back in
right,
our government. So that way we can get things done. And
right,
we don't have it. And, for you and for myself, because of our community that we're in, you know, a lot of people a lot of people that fight for our community don't know what it's like in our community. So they're like, "Oh, look at these poor people, we need to do something for them." Whereas somebody like you or me, we're like, "No, I know what's going on. I know what we need, and this is what we need." Okay? And my constituents, and when I say my constituents, I mean every person with a disability is my
right.
constituent. I'm fighting for everybody because we're all in it, and I'm fighting from my wheelchair. I don't know how to get into politics, or I would. I would love to. But that's one of the things is, we can fight. Again, we're sitting down. We can fight from a chair. And
Yeah,
we need to. We need to fight for housing, disabled housing. We need to fight for disabled rights. Nevada, Las Vegas is very handicap accessible. So thankfully, that's one of the things that is really awesome about out here is they're very ADA friendly in a
that's
lot
what
of
I
ways. Yeah, so they're very ADA friendly. So there's not a lot that I can complain about here when it comes to like accessibility. However, when it comes to housing out here, there's one of my friends has been trying to get housing there for 3 years now. They're on a waiting list, and it's been 3 years, and they can barely afford to survive. And that waiting list, they're still waiting to see if they can get into that housing. And it's hard, they wanna be independent. You know, uh, yes, a lot of us need help, but if you can give us the smallest amount of independence back, that changes our entire lives. Every tiny little piece of independence that we can get back, that we can take control of again, changes our lives. So a lot of able-bodied people that they do represent us and they do fight for us, but they don't understand what that freedom means to us. They as much as they try, they can't. They don't know what it's like to not have that.
Well, one of the things that we talked about is too a lot is a lot of the advocates, and I've said this before, a lot of the advocates today are really soft, especially the disabled. Um, because what the advocacy has turned into is we want more help from the government, but we don't want the government telling us what to do with our help,
Right.
what we can't do with the extra money that we get. And I'm saying to these, to my disabled friends out there that are listening, stop depending on the government to help you and stop wanting more from them, but you don't want them to tell you what you can and can't do with it. Because it's like a 36-year-old man or woman living in the house with their parents saying, Mom and Dad, I want you to pay for everything. I want you to pay for all my luxury, pay for all for the ladies to get their hairs and nails done, and then for the guys to go hunting or whatever. And I'm just saying hunting because I grew up in the 90s and that's what guys did still back then. I don't know so much that, but that's like saying, Mom and Dad, we want you to give us the life that we've always been used to. We want to live with you, but we don't want you to tell us what the hell to do once we're at a certain age. Well, they're not going to say, okay, we'll give you all of our money and all our resources and we'll just stay out of your life. No, most parents are going to be like, get the hell out of my house then. Because if you're still under my roof and you're still expecting me to pay for you, I'm for damn sure gonna have a thing to say about it, So
Well,
yeah,
absolutely, absolutely. So, a lot of people didn't ask to be disabled.
right.
A lot of people didn't ask for it, and it, when it comes to making your own money nowadays, a 9 to 5, you're not going to make enough to survive, especially with disabilities, because they're not going to work you enough to give you enough money to survive. So, getting a little bit of help, but you know, uh, I'm on the firm boat that I'm on government assistance with a few areas. As soon as I can get off of it, I'm going to. 'Cause
Yeah,
I don't want to be restricted, and I don't want to be told what I can and can't do with my money. So as soon as I can get off it, I'm going to. Right now, the WABC, hopefully we can get it big enough to where I can get a paid position, but right now I'm doing everything for free. This is
right.
the ventures that I'm really working on trying to make something out of. Aside from that, it's one of those, and I can understand. I didn't ask for this. I get this assistance. Stay out of my business. Okay. But at the same time, if you want it, you might have to jump through some hoops to get it. Like it's fair is fair. Yeah, you
Yeah,
yourself. Like you don't get to live in my house fucking for free and tell me what you're gonna do. That's just not happening.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying from a parent's perspective, and it's a lot of times what the disability community is asking the government to do is, yeah, give us the money from you and then don't tell me what to do with it. And that's not how it works, which is why, and I've talked about this many times on this program, which is why we need to get the unemployment rate from we need to get the employment rate for people with disabilities up from 22.7% to a good 60% because that's what the employment rate is for people with disabilities is
You also
20.
got you also got to think about this though. Like, what kind of jobs are they offering? Call centers? Nobody wants to work at a fucking call center. Like,
Yeah,
I hate calling people. What like when it comes to jobs for disabilities, you know, there we don't have a lot of options. Most of the time, they just stick us in a call center, something we can do from home, things like that. I think
a Walmart and say greet people. They don't even do that anymore.
I know, dude, I would love to be a Walmart greeter. I'd fuck with everybody as they came in and out. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I saw you in aisle 3 a little bit too long there, buddy. You better watch out. They might think you're stealing. Just mess with people.
Well, you see, now they do the thing where they make you go check the receipts.
Yeah.
And see, I could probably do that job. Only problem is I'm legally blind. So I'd be like, oh,
Yeah, you're good. You're
you
good. You're good.
you bought that 50-inch screen TV. Okay, I saw one in the car. Okay, you're good.
Right? So there's a thing like, you know, I recommend for this. So I went to school for fitness. I'm doing nothing with my my certifications. I'm doing nothing with them because I'm focused on this. But one of the things that I recommend for disabled people is go to school. Okay, figure out what you want to do, a job that you like, go to school for it. Get training, even if it's a trade school. Go to a trade school, learn how to do the trade, enjoy it. You know what I mean? There's so many options out there for us to learn how to do a job that we love doing, and then try to become your own boss. And if you can't
Yeah.
become your boss, work with somebody who understands your disability and is willing to give you that leeway and that grace. Because that's
Well,
part too. From an employer, you know,
yeah.
if I was employing a bunch of people, you know, I have somebody on my staff that's disabled and we have to make special accommodations for them. It's going to be hard for me to want to work them as much as somebody that I don't have to make those accommodations for us too. So you have to find the right employer also.
Yeah, and you know what? And sadly, a lot of these employers, I don't know if a lot of them want to think outside the because it takes money to think outside the box. It takes resources.
Not only that, because if you fire us, we can sue you for discrimination. Like, you can't even get rid of us. Once you hire us, you can't get rid of us. And then if you don't hire us, you can get sued for discrimination there too. So we have a lot of laws that are in place that are really anti work for disabled people. They're making it, you know what I mean? Like
That's
nobody
never
wants.
thought of it that way.
Yeah, like, when I was working for 24-hour fitness, one of the things that I knew, I can't get fired. My boss knew that I couldn't get fired. So, she let me I was a performer though, okay? She let me get away with whatever I wanted to do because I was constantly bringing numbers in and making the company money, so she gave me that leeway. But if I didn't do that, she was stuck in a rock and a hard place. She couldn't fire me. The only thing she could do is cut my hours back until I couldn't work anymore, until I had to find something else to do. You know what I mean? So, like,
Oh,
w
wait a minute. That seems a little weird though, because if somebody's not bringing it, if somebody's not performing well at a job, whether you're disabled or not, I mean, a boss goes up to a non-disabled person and says, "Look, you're not performing well. We know you're not performing well. I'm sorry. Find something else."
y
So you're saying that there are laws in place.
yes, because of my disability. Because here's the thing, if she woulda came up to if I wasn't performing, if I wasn't bringing in numbers, she could come up to me and be like, "Hey, you're not performing, we're gonna let you go." I could turn around and say, "Hey, I wasn't able to perform to the ability that you wanted me to because of my disability, which you knew about when you hired me, and now you're firing me because of my disability, something that I can't change." That's discrimination.
Whoa! Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
So
I
there's a lot of things that need to get changed when it comes to getting disabled people into the workforce. And that's one of those things because as an employer, knowing that my disabled employee, I have to have very low expectations for them. Have to. Because it's discrimination if I try to fire them because they can claim discrimination and if they can't hold up. But see, I'm disabled. I am a disabled person. So I have a little bit more empathy, but I also know when they're bullshitting me because I'm full of shit also and I've pulled all this bullshit before.
oh, I love it. I love it. Oh my gosh. So I now that you've said all that, and wow, you've really opened my eyes to so many things today. And that's kind of interesting because I'm legally blind and I'm able to see all the stuff that you're saying. Um
Well, I'm glad I could do that for you. But see, that's some of the things. So again, when it comes into me being in politics, you being in politics, I said, do it, bro. I said, go for it because we can see it. Yes, we see it from a different point of view, a lot shorter than everybody else sees it because we're sitting fucking down. So we can see it from this angle. They're seeing it from that angle. We need our angle and our point of view to be heard. Okay. If I knew,
yeah.
again, I'm going to repeat myself. If I knew how to get into politics, I would 100% become a politician. I want to. I would love to do that. Also, because a lot of politicians now go in with no money in the bank. After a few years, they're worth $30 million. I don't know. Maybe I could do that too.
Yeah, I don't know how these we were talking about on the pre-call. I don't know how these politicians going broke and they come out as rich as Judge Judy.
Multimillionaires.
I,
Crazy.
I don't understand that. I
I don't
don't
get it either. But here's one of the things, and I brought this up in our pre-call too. You know, I forget. I should have looked it up, but I didn't. Um, in fact, I'll look it up right now. Okay. We had a president that was a farmer. So, hey,
Did you say it was John Adams or something like that?
which
No,
president was a farmer?
not John Adams. You know,
Jimmy Carter.
who?
Jimmy Carter.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He was a farmer.
Yeah.
Okay, he was the 39th president. He was a farmer. George Washington, Jefferson Thomas. He operated a large plantation. Harry Truman, 33rd president. He was a farmer.
Did you say
When did
that
we stop?
backwards? Jefferson Thomas, or did you?
Yeah, something like that.
Oh,
But see, when do we stop allowing the common man to become president and we started getting attorneys and lawyers and all these other people to
that's
become
true.
president? Donald Trump, one of the reasons why Donald Trump was so popular is because the common man saw him as one of us. He didn't see him as one of the political elite because he's not an attorney. He doesn't have a law degree. He didn't fuck, and that's the thing. How many lawyers do you really trust? And yet you want them to run our government? That seems a little crazy to me.
Yeah. 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 Wow. 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 Well, I will say first, Jody, I want to say this to you. If you want to get involved in politics, just on a personal standpoint, and I'll say this to anybody who's watching, get to know your representative. Reach out to them, whoever they are. It doesn't matter if they're Democrat or Republican. Say, my name is Jody, and this is what I do. Tell them your whole spiel. I mean, you know, and don't wait until there's a problem that affects you and your community to then reach out to them. But Jody, that's what I would tell you to do, because I'm getting ready to, I'm getting to know all these people. I've reached out to Chairman Click, who was the chairman of the committee that I spoke out in front of. And I said, I want to get to know you. So I'm waiting to hear back from his office. That's what you do. And honestly, I mean, we have one governor, and it's Governor Abbott in the state of Texas. He's in a wheelchair, but that's the only representative. And I think there's one more who was a combat fighter in Iraq who's been in Congress, but we don't have enough people representing the disability community in Congress.
Yeah.
We don't. And you really, you really opened these legally blind, crippled eyes.
I'll tell you this though, and maybe, maybe that's a good thing, not having a person like me in Congress, because if I was up there and it's been 12 hours and this person's up there filibustering for 12 hours, I'm gonna throw something at him.
Maybe. And I'll just say this for the show: Nick Speaks does not condone violence, so I don't get taken down on YouTube or Spotify. But I would,
It would be a cloud. I'd throw a fluffy cloud at them to get them to shut the heck up, okay?
well, see, here's the thing: it's I think because there are certain people in Congress that causes the government shutdown to happen, different government shutdowns. So whichever party it is, I feel like, okay, we say, well, we're going to move on without you. And since you don't like what we do, until you come around to the table and agree with us, we're going to suspend your pay, and you can go live in your mom's basement. I don't care, but we've got a job to do. And apparently you don't want to be a part of the team right now. So until you decide, sit on the sidelines. But why do we
Yeah.
have to
But
shut down? Well, why do we have to shut down the entire government just because a few party leaders, whether on either side, a few party leaders don't want to pass a bill?
it's because it's holding our government hostage. That's what people do, and I get it. You gotta do whatever you can to get what you want, and, holding our government hostage is one of their tactics. It just sucks that, their tactics that they're using affects Americans, like the TSA affects, those people. As much as you hate the fucking TSA agent that's gotta fill you up and make you take forever to get to, your airplane, they have a family, they got a car note, they gotta pay rent, and then our government, when it shuts down, they don't get paid, and they struggle, and it's messed up that 1 or 2 people can affect thousands of Americans. tax-paying Americans with it.
Yeah.
I don't know how to fix that. Getting rid of the filibuster might be the way to go. I don't know. Getting and not allowing government shutdowns might be the way to go. I'm not sure. Um, I think that there are other options for it, but I think that something definitely needs to be done because it's I'm sick of our government negatively affecting our people. That's
Right.
not what it's there for.
And our government is not supposed to do that.
Our
The government
government isn't
is
there to rule
for
us.
us.
Exactly. It's not
It's
there to
for
rule us.
us. It's by us. And we're letting the government control. And we're supposed to be controlling them, not
Yes.
the other way. Like, I mean, and this is how people with disabilities and every other group is going to be able to make change once they understand we need to take control of our own destiny and take it away from the United States government or whatever country government that you're listening from. Because I don't know, I may have world listeners, but
I
I'm
don't know.
just,
The way I see it is right now is if you look at what's happening in governments all across the world, it might be time that we change some things as people.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I will say, I know you said and I'm gonna make people laugh, maybe a little, maybe raise their eyebrows a little bit. But I've said many times on this podcast and on my TikTok, Jody, that a lot of people with disabilities are horn dogs, and I'm one of those horn dogs. And you said, I know we all hate the TSA agents filling us up, but you know what? Hey, I haven't had any boom chicka boom boom for a long time.
You
So
just going over there on a Friday night, huh? You don't even need to get on an airplane. You just trying to go through.
they have an airplane. I don't, I don't even have an airplane, bitch. I don't even have an airplane, bitch. Just fill me up, Like,
I know I don't have a ticket to get on an airplane, but could you please check me for weapons?
I think I might have a little stick of something in my sock. You wanna No, you don't have to go straight to the sock. Just go all the way down, take your time. Okay. Um no
Oh no! Don't touch me there.
no, that's harassment. Don't touch me there. I meant my sock.
So like it's funny because whenever I go, I fly a lot, and whenever I fly, they're like, "Hey, would you like a private room?" I'm like, "No, bro. I like it when they watch. I charge more for that." And the guy's like, "What?"
Oh my god, that's hilarious. Okay, we've totally went off the rails, even though we said that's what we are gonna do. So I hope you enjoyed it. So tell everybody, you told them once. Tell everybody where they can find you. Tell everybody if they want to get involved, how they can get involved, and what's up.
All right, so you guys can find me at Jody Bennett. I'm on Facebook. I think I just started a X account. Not sure if I did or not. I do have a TikTok that I'm trying to get worked on. Jody, I believe that's Jody Bennett. Let me pull it up because I don't know. But on Instagram, it's AKA underscore captain underscore amazing. That it's me. On Facebook, it's Jody Bennett. You'll see me and my coaches there is my thing. And then TikTok, I believe my TikTok is also Jody Bennett. Let me just pull it up really quick. Oop, oop. It is how do I find what my TikTok is? Hold on a second. Uh,
Usually your TikTok is an at sign and then whatever you say it. But what we'll do is we'll have Jody send all that over to my producer, and my producer's probably gonna be like, what the hell, this podcast?
Yeah, my TikTok is at Jody Bennett 57.
So at Jody Bennett 57, we'll put all that in the show notes because I'm gonna make him send it over to the producer. We'll also make him I want we were gonna put it in the podcast, but I don't know because we have a lot that we talked about today. And so we're also gonna I'm also going to have my producer put in the show notes a video of you fighting a little bit so people can go watch that because I think
Awesome.
it's cool. And hopefully, I can get in to Detroit in November and we can meet up and um, maybe you can help me get some Bow chicka wow wow. Anyway,
Never know. All right, well, I would before we cut off of here,
yeah,
I would like to talk directly to your audience for a moment if I could.
yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
All right. Hey guys. So throughout this podcast, I hope you guys got a chance to get to know me. I hope that, whether you like me or not, maybe I said some things that helped out. Maybe I didn't. I know we talked about religion. And
Yeah,
no matter what you believe in, I want you to believe in yourself. Because whether you're able bodied or disabled, we all come across hurdles. We all come against walls, steps, if you will, things that we don't think that we can get over. If you take a moment, pull back a little bit, look at this situation. I promise you there's a way around it or over it. Maybe you're stubborn enough to get on your hands and knees and crawl over the situation, but you can get through it. One thing that I've realized from my almost 13 years of being in a wheelchair, there's a lot of people that tell me that I can't or I shouldn't do things, but I'm going to if I want to. And if I can't do it the way you can, I'm going to do it the way I can.
hmm
And you guys can do that. I want to tell you that from the bottom of my heart, we're here for you. You have a community. Even if you're able bodied, there's people here for you. We're here to help you. We're here to show you the way. We're not going to coddle you. I'm not going to baby you. I'm going to watch you struggle and I'm going to help you through the struggle so that way when you come out the other side, you'll never be the same. When it comes to
yeah,
when it comes to boxing or sports, get a hold of me. I left my socials in here. You guys can reach out to me. I know some people all over the country for these resources. We're trying to become boxing. I'm trying to bring boxing to the world, and we're getting there. If you guys know anybody who wants to sponsor, please reach out. But again, remember, no matter what you believe in, believe that you can do it because you can.
yeah. That's awesome. That's an awesome message. And I know we didn't really touch on it here, and we've made my podcast really super long. Which you know what? It's my podcast, so we can make it a little bit longer. Um, it's interesting because you talked about in the pre-call, and we probably should have brought this up in the beginning, that you grew up Southern Baptist, and you
Yeah.
talked how God has been a major influence in your life, and um from my perspective is where I sit from a born again Christian as well. Um, I don't know where I would be without him. I would be dead. I would
Absolutely.
I would be definitely burning in hell if I did not accept Jesus as my savior.
Man.
Jody would agree with that as well because he's a born again Christian. And for those of you who are saying, "Well, you guys have cussed a lot today," well, we're the brothers of Apostle Peter, okay? And so
Hey, listen, Jesus cursed the Pharisees when he was flipping tables in the temple, remember?
yeah, well, who knows what the words were back in the Hebrew day? They were probably a lot worse.
Dude, right?
Yeah. But I just want to say, like, and I rarely say this on my program, but I feel compelled to say it. If you don't know Jesus, get alone with God and tell him, I want to get to know you. I want you to come in my life. A religion is not going to save you. It's not going to keep you out of hell. It's not going to get you into heaven. But what a relationship with Jesus will do is it'll keep you out of hell and it'll get you into heaven. And not to say that you won't have trials and tribulations, because the Bible says that you will, but you'll have a forever companion and a forever friend in Jesus to help you get through that. So I really hope, we just came through Easter, and he's the hope that we celebrated this past weekend. So I really hope that you take what Jody and I have said to heart, and get to know Jesus and ask him to be the Lord of your life. Jody, I'm so glad that you were here today. It's been so much fun. Um,
Appreciate the invite, man.
Always, always. Like I said, we're personal friends now, so I'll be blowing your phone up later. Um, but thank you guys for being here today. This is the Nick Speaks podcast, the podcast dedicated to the disabled community where we speak up, speak out, and speak loud about the issues that matter to the disabled the most. I'm your host, Nick Comstock. Thanks again for my guest, Jody, for being here today. And
Absolutely.
I will see you guys next week. Bye.
Us guys.
Thanks for tuning in to the Nick Speaks podcast, where we speak up, speak out, and speak loud for the disabled community. If today's conversation resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you never miss a new episode. You can find Nick across all platforms by visiting his Linktree in the show notes. And please leave a comment to join the conversation. Until next time, keep speaking up, keep speaking out, and keep speaking loud.